News Talk 94.5 WPTI, 96.7 FM WTOB. You're listening to The Wealth Guardians with Doug Ray, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm your host, Doug Ray, and with me is Brice Payne, the newly married Brice Payne. Today, we're going to talk about popular retirement rules, and stay tuned for our second segment because we're going to open up and take a look at the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed this week and signed by the president. Hey, Brice, how's it going?
It's always an exciting weekend morning when we're going to open up and talk about a bill that Congress passed. Looking forward to it.
You know, folks, I want every one of you to vote that's eligible to vote this November. But please, this time, let's vote for statesmen, for people who take the oath seriously to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, domestic and foreign. I took that oath 40 years ago. I still believe in it. Let's go vote this November, please.
Oh, kudos to that, Doug. I like the sound of that. And speaking of our duties and our obligations as American citizens, let's move right into the Wealth Guardian Service Salute here. And if you're new to listening to this show, every week we here at the Wealth Guardians, we're honored to thank our military, our first responders and their families for their sacrifice in serving our community and making our safety and freedom their mission. And each week we want to salute a specific individual. In light of that, if you know someone that we should be recognizing here on the Wealth Guardians show, I want you to email our team at salute@thewealthguardians. Just let us know that you've got somebody in mind, and we will reach out to you and get all the pertinent information so that your loved one can be honored here on our show. And this week, we're going to introduce John Robert Meadows, also known as Bob. Bob lived locally, and he served 2 tours of Vietnam in the Army. After returning to civilian life, he worked as a computer technician for Wachovia Bank and U.S. Air. He was married to his wife, Kathy, for 49 years, and they loved the beach at Oak Island. Who doesn't? And Bob had a daughter and was a grandfather of 4. He loved his country and was honored to serve, and he was involved as a deacon in his church and passed from this world far too soon. Last October, he left us, and Bob always had a smile on his face and was one of the absolute favorite clients of ours here at the Wealth Guardians. So, Bob, we give you and your whole Meadows family a salute for your service and their sacrifice. Thank you very much. And Doug, thank you for your service as well. And remember, again, folks, if you know someone who has served and would like them honored on our show, all you got to do is email us at salute@thewealthguardians.com, and we'll reach out to you and get all the information we need to. All right. Well, Doug, let's go ahead and on this beautiful, it feels like fall out there, does it not?
I tell you, it does, and I am looking forward to fall, the football season.
Oh, it's almost here. College football is almost here.
Yes.
I've got the TV set up on the new deck out there. This is the exact time of year that our deck was built for.
There you go.
And it's just, I'm absolutely loving it. Going to have you and Sherry and Garrett over for some morning or afternoon of football at some point this
Sounds
this
perfect.
Fall. All right, so Doug, what we're talking about here are popular retirement rules of thumb, and we're going to incorporate you, the listener, into this a little bit. We're going to see how many of these you agree with Doug and myself on, or how many you disagree with us on there. So you've most likely heard, that there are plenty of rules you're supposed to follow to retire successfully. Some of these rules are stated so confidently you'd be crazy not to immediately accept them as fact, but we don't mind the threat of being called crazy. So let's dive into some of these most popular retirement, quote-unquote, rules of thumb to see if they truly lead us down the path of good financial guidance, or do they run a chance of leading us astray? The first one out there is called the Rule of 100. And what this is, Doug, you know this, I know this. We talk with every client who comes in and sits down with us and goes through a planning process. We enlighten them about what the Rule of 100 is.
Yeah, the Rule of 100 basically is a way to allocate your assets to risk and safety. And basically it simply says you take 100 and you subtract your age. So if you're 65, that leaves 35. And the Rule of 100 says that no more than 35% of your assets ought to be in a risk position at that age. The idea is as we get older, we need to be safer with our money. But it is a rule of thumb. We have plenty of 70-plus-year-olds that have 50% or more of their money at risk. But it's a nice way to start a talk around that conversation. How much money do you want at risk? How much money are you comfortable in a down market losing? And it's like I say, it's a rule of thumb. Maybe you agree with it, maybe you don't. Well,
let's bring our listeners into our planning process. Most of the people who sit down with us are, 5 years or so from retirement. They've done a good job saving, and they want to make sure that they're not doing anything incorrectly to jeopardize their retirement. And they want help from a financial planner in making sure that they're not doing anything dangerous with their assets. And they know that they should not be as risky with their investments as they were 10, 20 years ago. And maybe they say, yeah, no, I agree with that rule of 100, but then we take a look at their portfolio. And maybe they say, yeah, you're right. I don't want to have more than 30%, 35% of my portfolio at risk. But how much of their portfolio is generally at risk when we actually evaluate it? 50% or so, 60, 70% of their portfolio is at risk. So you have to align that. And as you can guess from Doug's answer, we do agree with the rule of 100, though it is just a rule of thumb. It is not something that's a hard line that's drawn in the sand, but it is a way of getting us to see how much of our portfolio should be at risk at this particular stage of our life. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is the 75% rule. And what this rule says, once you retire, you'll need about 75% as much income as you earn while working. Okay, so let's go that again. Once you retire, you'll need about 75% as much income as you earn while working. So let me ask you out there before Doug and I give our answers on this, whether or not we agree with it or not. Does that sound like a smart rule to you? Once you retire, you'll need 75% as much income as you earn while working. Give you a second there to think about it. Doug, what do you say to that rule?
I think the idea behind that is, you're not going to have to go to work anymore. You're not going to be commuting. You're not going to have to buy clothes, that kind of thing, eat lunches out. But honestly, I think for most people, when they retire, those expenses may possibly be replaced by extra travel expenses. I mean, almost everybody that comes to see us, one of their goals is to travel more,
yes,
right?
Yes, a very common retirement goal.
Absolutely. So, travel's not cheap. I mean, a cross-country flight is a lot of money.
Try to Hawaii.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Our honeymoon's coming up, too.
So, honestly, as a rule of thumb, I totally disregard it because in our planning process, folks, what we do is we make you have a budget. You have to sit down and figure out what your standard of living is. Everybody hates that word budget, I know.
Yes, yeah.
But it is your standard of living, and that's what the retirement plan is built around. We want you to maintain that standard of living all the way through your retirement.
Well, when we're financial planners, and again, we're going through this planning process, the three main aspects that we look at in your life are the income that you have now and through retirement, the assets that you've accumulated up to this point, and the expenses that you'll have now through retirement. Well, this 75% rule is designed, it's making some assumptions there that you have what your income is versus what you spend. There's no rule of thumb to that. We've seen people come in here who make $50,000 a year and they spend $51,000 a year. We've also seen people who make $50,000 a year and spend somehow $23,000 a year. So this rule is based off of an assumption that is simply you can't make. So Doug and I would disagree with that 75% rule. Let's move on to the next one.
Well, let's do this first. I want to just let everybody know that we're starting our fall workshop series up.
We are. It's that time again.
It's that time. This September 30th, a Thursday night, October 5th, a Tuesday night, we're going to be talking about retirement planning. We're going to be talking about retirement planning, but also emphasizing the taxes in retirement. Stay tuned for the second segment because we're going to talk about this new Inflation Reduction Act. But again, September the 30th, a Thursday, October the 5th, a Tuesday at the Broyhill in Clemens. call us at 336-391-3409 to reserve your seat.
Very good. 336-391-3409. Now, Doug, we had 6 of these rules of thumb, or these rules, and we only got through 2 of them before it's almost time for break. Now we've got to do the trivia questions.
Hey.
We can come back to it another. It's funny how we have 6 of these prepared and we only get through 2 of them, where the time goes. But it is time for our trivia question. Doug, how are you feeling? You feeling good?
Yeah.
You're feeling good?
Hit me up.
All right. It is time to see if we can stump Doug on this week's trivia question. On August 17th, Doug, 1978, rewind your clock there, think back to where you were. August 17th, 1978, Ben Abruzzo, Maxie Anderson, and Larry Newman successfully crossed the Atlantic for the first time in this type of vehicle. It took them 6 days to travel from Maine to France. And their vehicle, I'll give you a clue here, their vehicle was called the Double Eagle II. What kind of vehicle was it?
Uh-oh.
I don't like that look. Doug gives me that look all the time, and I know it's not a good look. So stick around through the break. We'll see if we stump Doug on that. This is Brice Payne. With me is the apparently stumped Doug Ray. The show is the Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB. News Talk 94.5 WPTI. 96.7 FM, WTOB. You're listening to the Wealth Guardians with Doug Ray, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne along with Doug Ray. And this segment, we are talking about, what are we talking about, Doug, in the second segment now?
So we're going to dig into the Inflation Reduction Act that the president just signed into law this week.
All right.
We're going to open up that can of worms.
We're going to talk politics in this second segment here. So, of course, we've got to get to the trivia question. And before we do that, I've got a question for you. Are you looking forward to retirement? Okay. Do you want to confirm that you're making the best decisions for your retirement? I'm really going to hope you answered yes to both of those questions. Well, if you have answered yes, then I've got good news for you. We here at the Wealth Guardians offer a no-cost, no-obligation second opinion/review of your current retirement portfolio so we can see how we can help you retire the job yet keep the paycheck. The ball's in your court. You're welcome to sit down with us. We like everyone we meet, but you got to pick up the phone and give us a call first, and that's 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. You can also visit us on our website, thewealthguardians.com. No cost, no obligation to meet with us. All right, so now that I've got those questions out of the way, let's get back to the trivia question here. Doug, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Here it was. On August 17th, 1978, Ben Abruzzo, Maxie Anderson, and Larry Newman successfully crossed the Atlantic for the first time in this type of vehicle. It took them 6 days to travel from Maine to France. And as a clue, I was debating on whether or not to give you this clue or not, but the clue is their vehicle was called the Double Eagle II. What kind of vehicle was it, Doug?
I'm going to guess a rowboat or a canoe. Okay.
Oh, I was so trying to give you an easy one this week here. I was wanting you to get back in the swing of things. Do you know out there what it was? What was the Double Eagle II, the first of this kind of vehicle to cross the Atlantic? It was a hot air balloon.
Oh.
And the Double Eagle. The eagle flies in the air. I thought that'd be a clue for you. Mm-hmm. Humans had tried, Doug, to cross the Atlantic in a hot air balloon for over 100 years.
Really?
Before they successfully did it in 1978. I'm trying to think back. 1878, when obviously hot air balloon flying was still a relatively new thing for human beings. Would you have tried to cross the Atlantic in something that was relatively that new?
No.
No, I don't.
No.
I don't think so. Though, of course, we did get to the moon. How many years was it we got to the moon after the first airplane alone? That was only like 50 years or so.
Yes, it was about 66 years.
All right. So we got from just flying across a field.
I know, it's amazing.
Up to the moon in about 60-some years. But, most of the bodies were never found of those other 13 trips that tried to go across there. Well, Garrett, let's see if you got it out there. Garrett's not with us today, but he'll listen to this and see if he got it. All right, Doug, so let's talk to us about out what Congress managed to get off their keisters and do here.
All right. So, as Nancy Pelosi once famously said, you've got to pass the bill to
in
know
order
what's
to read
in
it. Yep.
The devil's definitely in the details here. This is basically a quick overview of the Inflation Reduction Act because we really don't know all the dirty little details. It's kind of like the Secure Act. Just this February, the IRS basically defined on an inherited IRA who has to take RMDs and who doesn't have to take RMDs. Well, that's 2 years after it passed, right?
Right.
So, folks, you might want to come to our workshop. That would be Thursday, September the 30th, and Tuesday, October the 5th, and we'll talk about some of these dirty little details and how it pertains to your retirement. Call us at 336-391-3409. All right, so digging into the Inflation Reduction Act. First off, almost everybody agrees it's not appropriately named. It does nothing to reduce inflation. What it does do is the Obamacare tax credits that were expanded during COVID, they're going to be extended 4 more years. So if you are on you get your health insurance through the Obamacare, your subsidies are going to be extended. Part D Medicare, there is a 5% copay on that, but they eliminated it on a catastrophic health situation. So, for example, if you have cancer and you're having to get those expensive cancer treatments, that 5% is eliminated on your copay because 5% of some of these treatments
is still catastrophic.
A lot of money. Yeah,
still catastrophic.
Absolutely. Also, Medicare can now start to negotiate prices with the pharmaceutical companies, but it's only on 10 drugs now. And
it'll be expanded over the years.
Up to 20 drugs by 2029.
Okay, and it's really not going to see an impact for us until 2025, if I understood correctly.
Exactly. Okay. Those of you who are thinking about buying an electric vehicle, you may get up to $4,000 in a credit to do that. However, devil in the details, if you want to buy a really expensive one like the Tesla Model S or this Lucid, you don't get it. You don't get the.
It's only for the smaller, cheaper vehicles,
like the Model 3,
okay,
something like that.
Okay.
The corporate taxes. There's going to be an AMT, which is basically a minimum tax of 15% on corporations.
Now, some of those corporations don't pay any taxes right now, or they have all the write-offs and whatnot where they effectively don't pay any taxes. So that's a big hit for them.
And again, the devil in the details. Are they talking about eliminating these write-offs so that they're forcing a profit to pay tax, 15% tax on, or what are they talking about? What is that 15% going to be calculated? Gross sales?
Right.
That's not right, but who knows? Devil is definitely in the details. Okay, here's one we've been listening to quite a bit if you watch the news headlines. There's a lot of money going to the IRS. Not only for them to hire new agents, but to upgrade their technology. It's well known that the IRS's computer technology is ancient. And there is money to hire 87,000 new IRS agents.
Auditors.
Yeah. That basically doubles the IRS. And, these folks are going to be, it's said, going after the rich people who don't pay taxes or have loopholes.
Because they've been understaffed for those type of auditors for a while, apparently.
Apparently so. Now, let's put this in perspective.
Okay.
87,000 is a lot of folks.
It is.
To hire and train 87,000 folks is going to take some time. And to give you an idea, the IRS has been needing to hire 5,000 people for the last several years and haven't been able to do it. Hiring 87,000 and getting them trained and getting them out in the field, I'm skeptical.
I stopped by Bojangles this morning, and they had paper put up on their order window saying, "Please be patient, we're severely understaffed." Well, just because the IRS has money to hire these agents, doesn't that mean that there is the desire for people to take that job out there? That's, if you think about it, that's not the most friendly job probably to have out there. You're going to run into some tough times, some aggressive people out there. So just because they've got the money in their budget now to hire these people, when will they actually be staffed? It's not going to be within 6 months.
And probably, no, it won't be. And certainly in the November elections, we expect to see a completely different change of the Congress. Mm-hmm. Who knows what they're going to end up doing? Yeah, I think this is definitely up in the air.
Just because it's passed now doesn't mean it'll actually come to fruition.
Exactly. Also, you hear a lot about companies buying stock back, right?
Yes.
So there's going to be a 1% stock buyback fee. So if they buy, $1 million worth of their own stock, they're going to have to pay a 1% fee to the government to do that.
Okay.
Supposedly, all of these things that they put into place here is going to eliminate the deficit by something in the amount of $300 billion over the next 10 years, supposedly. Mm-hmm. We'll have to wait and see about that. For
every bill that Congress passed where we're eliminating the debt by X amount of dollars over the next couple of years, you would think we'd be in negative debt. We'd be in surplus on an annual basis by this point. But no, debt somehow keeps rising.
It always does. I mean, like I said when we opened the show, when you go vote this November, please vote for statesmen, people that have the best interest of the country in mind, and not go up there and, cave into little pet projects. Manchin got the reason he got his vote is he got an energy pipeline through his state.
Right.
It just makes me sick.
The scratch my back, I'll scratch your policy of D.C. really. And one word: term limits.
Absolutely.
Please.
Term limits.
Even people who don't agree on fiscal policies or whatnot, they generally agree on the idea of term limits.
And Kristen Sinema, they got her vote because basically she came from the investment banking world, so they left in that special
the big tax loophole.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it disgusts me.
I hear you. Doug, let's talk one more. We've got a few more minutes to kill here. Let's talk a little bit more about the seminar that we've got coming up in September, October. We do a couple of seminars a year. We've done our Social Security. We've done our Retirement in Turbulent Times seminars. We've had a little conversation with our clients and some people who aren't clients about identity theft. But what is this one we've got coming up in September, October?
So most of you in retirement, one of your biggest bills you're going to face is taxes. And these taxes are not just on your income. They're taxes on just about everything. There's going to be taxes on your IRAs. There's going to be estate taxes. So we're going to be taking a deep dive into the taxes that you'll be faced with paying during your retirement years. We're also going to take a look at some ways that we help our clients get past some of these taxes. For example, we're big believers in Roth IRAs. Converting to a Roth is one of the best things you can do for yourself to eliminate taxes, because distributions from a Roth IRA, as you know, are tax-free, but also more importantly, they don't count towards taxing the formula that taxes your Social Security.
Or your Medicare.
And that is something to keep in mind, because that tax on your Social Security comes quickly. For a married couple filing jointly, you only have to have $35,000 of income before half of your Social Security is taxed.
And the IRA distributions count toward that.
They sure do, and their pensions, and even half your Social Security income is part of that formula as well. So the workshop is Thursday, September the 30th, and Tuesday, October the 5th. So we're giving you some time to write it on your calendar. All you have to do is call us at 336-391-3409, or go on our website at thewealthguardians.com, hit up that event tab, and you can register right there.
Very good. Doug, thank you for joining me this week. Thank you out there for joining Doug and myself this week. You go and have a rest of a beautiful fall afternoon. weekend. And Doug, go Pirates, go Panthers, go Broncos, go Packers, and whoever else we're forgetting out there. Go Wake. This is Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray. The show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB.